Hi guys, off script Chris tries, just quickly before we start today's episode. So I just wanted to let you know that I was invited to be a guest on the Morning Scam Show about a month ago by CJ Scams and Take a Glass of Water Media. It's a show which they do every Tuesday and Thursday where they do live scambaiting on the phones, and they invite a guest scambaiter on to just chat about scambaiting. And I was very lucky to be picked as one of their guests. So what I've done is I've popped the video in the Scambaiting playlist if you want to watch me sort of fumble through an interview. But I also highly recommend that you check these guys out. I'm going to put their channels in the description, so please show them some support because they've really helped me. Give them a sub and watch and like their videos, because honestly what they do it's hilarious, and it's really sort of supporting the Scambaiting community, and they've really helped me. So again guys, if you watch this, thank you again for having me on and for everything you've done. And that's it. That's all I wanted to say. No preface to today's episode. I'm not going to do that anymore. That's just ridiculous. I'm certainly not going to play into the episode's Western theme either. So, yeah. Okay. There we go. Play the intro. Play. Howdy. I'd like to preface this video by saying that today's episode will be a little bit different. Rather than focusing on one scambait, today we're going to be looking at 3 slightly smaller scambaits, which alone wouldn't be worth dedicating an entire episode to. Anyone familiar with Atomic Shrimp scambaiting episodes, The Scammers Who Dumped Me, which at this point you all should be, given my strict instructions to watch his content first, will know that many scambaits just don't get too far off the ground before the scammer gives up and tries less infuriating prey. And my scammers today are prime examples of these. I'm hoping, however, despite their brevity, this will still be an interesting and informative and entertaining episode for you. With all that said and done, let's get started for real. We start today with this email from a scammer with a totally legitimate name, Mr. Phillips John, who has contacted me under the pretense we have worked together before, or more correctly, someone has tried to scam me before and he's jumping on the bandwagon. We can see here that he mentions how he hasn't forgotten my past attempts to aid him in recovering some make-believe fund, and to that effect wants to compensate my efforts with a prepaid ATM MasterCard loaded with $850,000.
Nice.
All I have to do is contact his secretary, Mrs. Precious Ogbonna, to arrange for the delivery of the card. He ends his email telling me to contact Precious 3 more times, to really drill the point home, before signing off under a completely different name, William Adam. Now, these types of scam emails are designed to intercept people who have perhaps been in conversation with a scammer before, or maybe even been scammed before, by assuming some prior relationship and making some bogus remark about how the scam failed last time. But fear not, because they somehow got their hands on the money anyway, and want to compensate you for all your efforts to assist them previously, basically starting the scam cycle all over again. Of course, any scammer who had past dealings with Raghav Gupta would certainly not be getting back in touch for another round. Well, apart from Maureen. So, copying in William, Phillips, Adam, John, I send this to Precious. Hello, I've been instructed to contact you about a MasterCard. Please respond urgently once you have received and understood my email. To which I receive this completely blank reply. This is a promising start. So I reply to Precious, enlightening her of the fact that she needs to send actual words to engage people in conversation, and then follow up a few hours later with a chaser because I really want her to try and scam me. Finally, Precious sends a response, giving us a third pseudonym for the original scammer, and sets the ball rolling for the scam. She sends, Dear Sir, yes, of course, my boss, Mr. Franklin William Adams, left me with an ATM MasterCard of $850,000. He stated one Raghaus Bob Gupta will contact me and direct me on how I will send the ATM MasterCard to him. Please go ahead and provide your address, such as your home or office address, to enable me to send the ATM MasterCard to you via a reliable courier company, as he instructed me. Erroneously believing we were finally settling into the scam, I send this reply asking why me, of all people, had been chosen to receive such a large amount of money, in spite of the fact it was because how I allegedly helped the scammer in the past. Precious replies fobbing me off back to the original scammer. Lazy. So I reply calling her out on it and press her for a round of questioning instead. I quickly follow myself up with this as well, since at the time I didn't realise the man with 3 different names was meant to be the same person to me. Also, you haven't given me any contact details for Mr. Frank Williams, so if you could, give them to me so I can claim my card, I'd be grateful. We don't have to talk or anything. I know you don't like me. Aww. But Precious, now confirming that she indeed does not like me or know how to improvise outside the lines of her scam templates, sends another completely blank reply. Well, I guess it's game over for this scam. Only one thing for it. Precious. What's wrong? Precious! Precious! Oh, Precious. Well, that didn't last long, did it? Well, don't worry, because this next scammer's a bit juicier. Our next scammer is Mr. Haruna Musa, who, in a very lengthy and occasionally shouty email, tells me that his client, Albert Sendali, His client, Albert Sendali, deposited $28 million into his bank for a period of 12 months. Must be a good interest rate. And then, upon contacting his client after the allotted time, found out that he had been a victim of a plane crash, becoming Albert Sen dead. Oh wait, that's in really bad taste if he's a real person. I'll just check. Alright then, let's see what we got here. Mr. Okay. Mr. Haroon Moose, that's the man we're talking to. Oh, it's his exact email. Okay, well, I'm glad to see that someone got there first. Okay, let's just, here we go. Yeah, no, can't smell. Okay. Okay, and subscribe. Perfect. The scam continues in the way most of these templated emails do, claiming no next of kin exists, and now I have been chosen at random to work with this greedy banker to pretend I'm the next of kin / beneficiary so the fake money doesn't go to evil politicians or something. All Mr. Musa wants is Raghouse's details for a compensation amount of 40%.
Nice.
But wait, what's this? 5% will be set aside to cover all expenses before the conclusion of the deal. Perfect! No advanced fee! Guys, I was wrong. This isn't a scam at all. And this is further backed up by Mr. Muse's assertion that this is all 100% risk-free and every aspect from start to end is completely legal. Because nobody lies in emails for financial gain, do they? Not much to say about the end of his email, other than, for some purpose, he put a ye olde style MSN shocked face for, reasons. So, wanting to start strong and equally annoying, I reply with, Dear Mr. Musa, I do not usually respond to emails like this one, as I believe that sometimes... I do not usually respond to emails like this one, as I believe that sometimes things are just too good to be true. However, when I read your email, I was really taken in, and the time and detail you have put into it really convinced me that this time, this must be the real deal. £28 million is a shocking amount of money, and honestly, a life-changing amount also. I want to help you. Let me explain in a few points below why. 1. You've indicated this deal is 100% legal and risk-free. 2. You have set aside 5% of the fund to cover all costs and fees, meaning I won't have to spend a penny. 3. 4. Profit. To that end, here are the details you requested. Clearly a fan of Raghouse's earlier work, the scammer replies with another long-winded template email, though with a few amendments here and there. In summary, the scammer lays out how the process will work, giving me the option to either fly down to Nigeria to complete the business in person, which surely won't result in my immediate capture and ransom, or failing that, and probably more to the scammer's liking, arrange for a lawyer to do the business on my behalf, incurring a fee for their time and services. He makes several references to Albert Sen deceased, who is now my cousin for some reason, and waffles on about trust and confidentiality, and all the key buzzwords people who are susceptible to being scammed like to hear. Or rather, read. He continues by contradicting his earlier script by asking for my assistance in contributing to the overall fee of $28,000 needed to actuate this deal start to end. Jesus Christ, I should have paid it back when the fees were less than $1,000. He finally ends his email with his passport and ID badge for my perusal. Let's have a peruse, shall we? Now, personally, I feel this passport, and you may disagree, that is your prerogative, is actually a real passport that has been edited slightly, mainly the photo, which looks a bit off, and is being appropriated by the scammer. So, for that reason, I have blocked certain information just in case. I am not a forensic expert, but either this is a real passport that's had a different photo put in, or this is a very, very good Photoshop with respect to the text and details. Far, far better than any scammer has any right to be with Photoshop, therefore making me think this is a victim's passport that has been incorporated for the scam. Heck, even the signature matches for a change, but fear not, as this is not potential evidence to support that this isn't a scam at all, as in the very next piece of ID, there are mistakes. Here is Mr. Musa's bank ID card, which at first glance again seems pretty legit, but if we delve into the details, as the devil is in the details, we can see the hairline fractures that dispel all my trust in him. First, his date of birth year is listed here as 1957, but on his passport it's down as 1960. Must have been a long labour. Secondly, his manager's ID number is listed as date of birth. You should really check your work before you send it en masse to potential victims, Mr. Haruna Musa. Actually, I'm not surprised no one at the bank has any standards when it comes to proper documentation and identification, when a quick Google search reveals that number 4 Churchgate Street looks like this. Very banky. Finally, both the passport and ID badge have the same photo. Like, exactly the same photo. Must have been a 2-for-1 special on identification that day. Moving on. After digesting another meal-sized email, I hit Mr. Musa up with this reply. Mr. Musa, thank you for your lengthy reply. I read it all and understood most of it, though a few elements I am still woefully ignorant, hopefully only to the detriment of the unworthy, in the eyes of our Lord Jesus. I would like to confirm I am unable to travel to Nigeria to sign these documents in person, therefore it will be of the utmost importance we take care of signing such documentage in the digital fashion, as has become more common in a post-COVID world. Luckily, signing of documents digitally is a practically free method of doing so, and therefore I do not anticipate there to be much in the way of expenses at all. Please inform me post-haste when the documents need signing and the bank account details you need for the deposit of my share, 50%. Ignoring most of what I wrote previously, Mr. Musa soldiers on with his scam and curiously lowers the fee amount to $14,000. Thanks for that. And then provides me a bank account in the UK, which I dedicate a portion of time to getting reported. Thank you, Musa. He ends his email telling me that the 5% laid out especially for expenses just like this one is something we cannot gain access to until after the money has been sent to me, post fees being paid. Convenient. So, I reply, Mr. Haruna sir, I regret to inform you that it will not be possible for me to part with such a large sum of money. I can only imagine this will now disqualify me from these proceedings. But, not wanting me to give up so easily, Mr. Musa writes, thanks for your quick response. Content well noted. Please note that you are my only partner in this transaction, since the benefit of this transaction is for the both of us alone. Please, if I may ask, can you tell me how much you are able to contribute willingly for this transaction to enable us to achieve this golden opportunity? And I respond with, Mr. Haruna Mufasa, at present I am able to contribute something like $800 in Bitcoin. I may be able to access additional funds, as I am currently in conversation with an organisation regarding some compensation in lieu of my email being found on some criminal's list or something. Truth be told, I'm not sure what it's all about, but the payout could be about $850,000, but that's still in its infancy. Unlike his predecessors, Mr. Musa has no problem with me having poly-scammerous relations and does not discourage me from being scammed at the same time by someone else, and simply gives me his all-important Bitcoin wallet address. So I send, Mr. Hakuna Matata, please find enclosed your Bitcoin receipt. Hope the 800 gets this process started. And attach this. Pretty swish, right? A few hours later, the scammer replies to say, thanks for your mail and the receipt sent to me. Please note that the $800 worth of Bitcoin you sent is yet to be received in my Bitcoin wallet. Please cross-examine your wallet or send me the transaction ID of your deposit. Waiting to hear from you very urgently on this matter. And I write to say I'll do just that. All very cordial. Yes, yes. Clearly anxious and excited, the scammer sends me an email to encourage action, as his open Bitcoin wallet has yet to have my $800 plop into it. Oh, my dear Musa, if at only this point you knew. A few hours later, I reply with, Mr. Hairy Nut, I am sorry to report that the website I used to buy the Bitcoin was fraudulent. I've lost $800. Right now, I am speechless and simply furious that someone has stolen this money from me. Naturally, I still want to proceed with our business. To think I'm so close to early retirement and financial liberation, but this has certainly put a spanner in the works. Are you willing to give me an additional day or two so I can round up some more money? Who would do something like this? Gosh, I hate these thieving, criminal swindlers. Please don't give this money to someone else. Dropping certain formalities from his replies now, which is always a good indication of stress, annoyance, and impatience, the scammer sends this. I'm sorry for what happened. You never told me you were buying the Bitcoin. You said you had $800 worth of Bitcoin. Being the case, I told you from the onset that we only have 1 week as all modalities to make the transaction have been put in place. Let me remind you that we need about $28,000 to finalize everything about this transaction, and we have less than 5 days to do that. So bear in mind that you're contributing $14,000 either in cash or in digital currency, as this is the only way we can both complete this transaction, and $28 million will be transferred to your account while I start coming to meet you in person in your country to share the funds. Finally, since you're asking for a day or two to raise the funds, I can give you till Wednesday morning, knowing that we don't have much time to complete this transaction. You already have my Bitcoin wallet address. Delighted at his commitment, in other words, loving the feeling of the tug of a scammer on my hook, I reply with this, not before turning the dial on the old ridiculous meter up by 2. Mr. Haruna of House Musa, we're in a bit of luck. While we've been conversing, the compensation fund I spoke to you of a few emails ago is starting to come to fruition. They have my details and have just received my payment of $595, so by Wednesday I should have my prepaid ATM MasterCard. I won't tell you how much is on it, but let's just say it'll make paying $14,000 a doddle. A doddle, my dear Haruna. And we finally get what my scammy sense tells me is an angry, albeit reserved, reply. May I make it very clear to you that this is not a child's place and will never be. I explained every bit of this transaction to you in the beginning, and don't think that you will sit down and watch me do everything alone while you are expecting 40% of the $28 million for doing nothing. If you don't know it now, that I've spent quite a lot of money to bring this transaction to the last stage of payment before I even introduced you for our mutual benefit. Mr. Raghaus Gupta, know it now that you have between now and 12 PM on Wednesday to send the needed $14,000 or its equivalent in cryptocurrency that will enable us to complete this transaction immediately and make it a reality. If you do not send it between now and 12 noon on Wednesday, I'll be left with no other alternative than to pick another partner who can benefit 40% of the $28 million with me. Waiting to hear from you very urgently on this matter. But Raghaus has spent too long being pushed around by scammers and replies with this to continue to delay, annoy, and frustrate the scammer. Sir, to suggest I have done nothing towards getting this money would discount the many hours I spent earning the $14,000 you intend me to send. That is almost half my annual income, I'll have you know. On account of your turpitude, I now must insist I am compensated with 55% of the total fund, instead of 40%. When, and only when, you confirm these new terms, shall I ensure swift payment is made before 12 PM on Wednesday. Finally, I don't know why you're talking about children, but I, for one, sir, never mix parenting and business, and I highly recommend you do the same. And Mr. Musa responds, please be aware that I've spent a lot of money to bring this transaction to the final stage before introducing you into it. Now that it's very clear that we need $28,000 to complete this transaction and make it a reality for the benefit of both of us. What I'm asking is for you to contribute $14,000 while I contribute the same. At the end of the transaction, you will be adequately compensated with 50% of the inheritance fund, which is $14 million, while I also get $14 million from the proceeds. This can only be possible when I receive your own $14,000 or its equivalent in cryptocurrency before 12 PM on Wednesday. You asking for 55% is very unreasonable. Think on it and get back to me on this matter. Thinking on it and getting back to him, I reply 52%. 52%, and I walk to the bank today. And to my surprise, risking not getting anything at all, the scammer refuses to budge on how much fake money he is willing to fake send me, saying, as I said earlier, a 50-50 or you forget about it. I don't care to know whether you go to the bank or not. I'm not going back on my words. As I've told you, this transaction is not a child's place and will never be. Finally, you have between now and tomorrow noon being Wednesday to continue being my partner, or you forget it. Bye. Waiting until after the deadline, to be awkward, I send this to our principled banker. Principled scammer. Attention, internet man. I've had a think, and I believe it has been selfish of me to demand more money. I'm still getting quite a bit, so I've decided I'd like my share reduced to 41.9%. If this is agreeable, let me know, and I'll go into the bank, which I'm currently sat opposite. But Mr. Musa did not respond. Oh no, maybe it's all over. Well, nearly, but not quite yet. So I send a follow-up chaser a few days later to see if we can get him back. Mr. Masala, sorry, damn autocorrect, Musa. Why haven't you responded? I want to get this business sorted ASAP. And the scammer sends this email. So reminiscent of a breakup message from when I was a teenager, I subconsciously shed a tear whilst reading it. Attention, Raghaus Robert Gupta, since you could not meet up with my instruction demand, so therefore it is over between us. Bye. Not one to give up when I have cultivated scammers to a point where their responses to me are emotionally charged, I reply with this. Sir, I have been waiting for you to confirm whether you would accept my lower amount, as I feel the trouble I have put you in deserves additional compensation to you. You, sir, are the one who held up this process, not me. Tentatively swimming back to shallow waters, but definitely wary of the juicy bait on my hook, the scammer sends this. As I said earlier, I am not a man of many words. Have you read your first few emails? I could finish a Leo Tolstoy novel in less time. And I still stands by my words that the inheritance funds would be shared 50-50. I am not a greedy man. Not greedy? Are you going to donate that $14,000 you expect to get from me? In that same vein, the expenses should be shared equally. The only way out is for you to go ahead and send your own contribution to my Bitcoin address with a scanned copy of the payment receipt and stop deceiving yourself, as I will never be ready to gamble with this transaction. The choice is yours. You're right, Mr. Musa, the choice is mine. I choose to waste more of your time and report whatever information I can get from you. To that end, I ask for a bank account. But Musa's having none of it and proceeds to give me the same Bitcoin wallet address as before. Sticking to my guns and hoping for something a little more tangible to work with, I say, no, I want your bank account for a direct deposit, please. And when he doesn't reply after a few days, chase up with this. I just don't trust using Bitcoin again, but if you really don't have a bank account, I'll try it one final time. Please give me any and all Bitcoin addresses you have, so I don't have to keep bothering you in email to ask each time one doesn't work. And then I have a brainwave, and quickly send this to annoy and hopefully shake the scammer out of his silence. Never mind, Mr. Mufasa, your colleague has been in touch and provided me with the following bank account. Now, this bank account was generously provided by another scammer who we will meet in a future episode. Finally, Mr. Musa gets back to me to set the record straight by saying, be informed that none of my colleagues is aware of this transaction. I thought my dealing with you was a confidential one, not knowing that you have other people you're dealing with. Anyway, bear it in mind that I am the originator of this transaction, and anyone that tries to play my intelligence will have him or herself to be blamed, so be warned. I have never sent any of my colleague to deal with you, talk less of sending you a bank account. And I know nothing about the bank account given to you. I'm also not ready to give you one. If you're still ready to continue this transaction with me, go ahead and send your own contribution to my Bitcoin wallet address stated below. Waiting to hear from you with a copy of your proof of payment, or don't bother sending me any more mail. So, ignoring the scammer's instruction, I reply with, Mr. Hasbro Gaming, for the last time I have made payment via your colleague and I am not going to pay a second time via Bitcoin. Send me the money. But sadly, this is where me and Mr. Musa parted ways, as he never replied to this email. I'm not sure what tipped him off to me not being serious. Maybe it was the lack of Bitcoin being sent or bringing in bank accounts provided by other scammers. One thing's for certain though, it wasn't the frequent mispronunciation or outright swapping of his name that did it. Nuh-uh. Now, it always surprises me when a scammer forgoes the chance to earn less money by rigidly sticking to their guns and to their script. Whether they do this to keep up a facade that the whole thing is genuine, or because they have an absolute minimum they want or need to steal, is beyond me. And whenever I come up against these sort of scammers, I do wonder if they are part of a larger organisation of scammers as opposed to an individual acting alone. It is worrying to think of these scammers as an organisation, but I do think with vigilance and spreading the word to friends and family, I think we can safely mitigate their threat. Let's look at one more, shall we? Our final scammer comes in with this obscure email. Dear recipient, I am making a charitable donation sum of 2.5 million euros each to 13 people as my philanthropic gesture to the world. If you are interested in my donation, do contact me via with the information below. Name, country. So, wanting a slice of this money pie, I respond with, hello, I am certainly interested. Name a country. Okay, how about North Macedonia? Does that make me a winner? And clearly it did, since I received this wall of text as a reply. Since I know you've got things to do today, I won't read the email in full, but I shall summarise it thus. The email comes supposedly from Stefano Pessina, chairman of Boots Walgreens Alliance, and he is trying to reassure me of this fact by providing links to what appear to be the Wikipedia page and his Forbes profile. I didn't click the links to check, because you never know, and realise in this day and age, as long as you link a Wikipedia page and some other news site and cite them as sources, you can pretty much claim to be anyone. Or anything. Now, you see guys, I am in actual fact a potato. Don't believe me? Well, here's my Wikipedia page, and another corresponding news source to back up my claim. Mr. Pessina continues to waffle on about how rich he is, and how he wants to spread the wealth because he is now old. Without knowing anything about where I live, or assuming North Macedonia is not very affluent, he instructs me to use the money to lift my area out of poverty. I can only imagine being a multi-billionaire CEO how hard it must be to make sizable donations and change in the world that could affect thousands, if not millions. Best ask a stranger on the internet to do it instead. Also, before we move on, look at this very blatant mistake. 2,500,000 euros. Then, in parentheses, right next to it, 5,200,000 euros. I mean, I'd understand mistyping numbers, but someone just looked at the 2 and wrote a 5. Unsurprisingly, he ends his email asking for, you guessed it, my personal stuff, and closes his waffle saying at this point he doesn't know if there will be a fee or not. I'm guessing there will be. So, in typical Ragaus Gupta fashion, I give the scammer what he wants. Mr. Pessina, I must say it is nothing short of an honour to speak to such a business legend as yourself. If you'd like to know more about me, click here. Psst, that link, in a fashion, does indeed go to Ragaus Gupta's Wikipedia page. When someone contacts me out the blue to give me £2,500,000, £5,200,000, believe me, the last thing I'm asking is why. I just get down on my knees and put out my hands. With that in mind, here are the details you requested. I would use this money to buy a house, a yacht, and as many chocolate Labradors as possible. Also, I was trying to be a bit tongue-in-cheek with Ragaus's annual earnings, but the scammer doesn't react. In what is a clear copy-paste template email, the scammer tells me in his first sentence that he has paid no heed to anything I just replied with by thanking me for a copy of my ID. ID which I told him I would not be able to send yet. Or ever, in my case, in addition to requiring a €530 fee to get the ball rolling. It didn't take long for him to realise that there'd be a fee. He then follows up with this paragraph, which is just too good to not include in full. The great opportunity in your life is where you are right now. Every situation properly perceived becomes an opportunity for you. You have grand opportunities all around you right now. Open your eyes and you will find it. Just believe that you have already received these donation funds. The bank will not fail immediately they receive the €530 from you. Note, motivation is very important, but it is a determination that will make you cross the highest mountain and the most difficult river that is rare. I would advise you don't quit simply because of €530 up front. Take my word, try as much as possible to give this a try. I assure you of getting this donation funds in good faith. If I were you, I will take this fee to be a challenge. If you should take this fee you are required to pay to be a challenge to you, it then means that you will receive this donation funds. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he lies in times of comfort, but where he stands in times of controversy and pressure. I am a matured man, and I will want to take you like my brother, who needs this donation funds urgently. Believe in me. I assure you that you will receive this donation funds. I want you to believe that you will get these donation funds because I have tasted the bitter side of life way back, so I will never want to hurt others. I understand your fears as some set people have decided to disguise themselves in so many ways, but in the end, they are scams. I want you to know that in the midst of scams, there are still genuine people who do not rip individuals of their hard-earned money. Oh, and you're one of them, are you? Then, in a faux pas I have no choice but to exploit, he ends his email with this. This fee is not required from you at this stage, but it will be required from you immediately after the transfer of your donation funds commence. And before I forget, this fee is going to be refunded back to you, which means it will reflect in your account alongside your donation funds, making it the total sum of €2,500,530 to reflect in your account once the transfer is completed in your account. So I will want you to know that trusting me will never make you disappointed, as this is a promise as genuine from a mother to a child. If I were you, I will take this fee as a challenge. You will have to know that backing out is not good, as winners do not quit and quitters do not win. Congratulations once more. Oh, only one congratulation. So, pieces on the chessboard, I reply to say, Mr. Pacina, thank you for your reassuring email. Believe me, I have no doubt about the genuineness of this offer. Like you said in your email, there are scammers aplenty, yet I am in no fear that you are a scammer. I mean, you have your own Wikipedia entry. Scammers don't have their own Wikipedia entry. Did you get a chance to look at my website? I completely understand about the fee. You cannot make an omelette without breaking the sound barrier or something like that. I'm just glad, as per your email, I won't have to pay the fee until after the money has been transferred into my account. That'll make it a lot easier to pay. Please, let me know what to do next. P.S. Maybe something has been lost in translation, but regarding you being a matured man and taking me like your brother, I can say in the literal sense, that won't be necessary. But, politely correcting himself, the scammer replies, kindly be informed that you are to pay the fee to the lawyer before the lawyer will proceed to transfer the donation to you via the transferring bank. So if you are okay with this, let me know so I can instruct the lawyer to start processing the donation paperwork in your name as the beneficiary. Thanks, and I await your swift response. But I cannot refuse such a juicy gambit when the scammer himself provided it. To that end, I send, Mr. Pacina, the question of whether or not I can pay the fee is immaterial. I am only going by what you put in your previous email. This fee is not required from you at this stage, but it will be required from you immediately after the transfer of your donation funds commence. Immediately after, see? So, send the donation and I'll pay the fee, according to your instructions. Yes? Dropping some of the friendly tone in his reply, always a good indicator that the scammer is getting annoyed, and is off script, which is always a bonus, he replies, don't forget I am not an Englishman, so you should give me some credit for my English. I will accept that was a simple English mistake on my part, so the right word is you will be required to pay the fee before the transfer of the donation funds to your account, and that fee will be required from you by the lawyer, so if the English is well understood by you now and you are ready to pay the fee, to let me know, I can instruct the lawyer to proceed with the paperwork regarding this donation funds. Good God, punctuation! Wanting to obfuscate the English second language scammer further then, I respond thusly. Mr. Pacine, whilst I fully appreciate that English is not your first language, your email was very clear on the point on paying the fee post-delivery. However, that being said, at the end of the day, when all is said and done, ultimately, you have corrected yourself in a follow-up, and I respect a mature man who wants to take me as his brother when he admits his mistakes. So, let's carry on with our legitimate business. I am not, after all, a quitter, but a winner. Sir, a winner. Contact the lawyer and let's make me rich. But clearly I left the scammer scratching his head for too long, as I received no reply. Fearful I may have lost him, I sent out a chaser asking why he hasn't replied, and he replies a few hours later, explaining why. Because you have openly stated that you want the donation funds. Despite sending your information, you have refused to send your ID card needed for identification. Also, you are not specific if you are ready to pay the IMF code charges I told you about once the transfer commenced with the lawyer. So that is why I have not instructed my lawyer to do the procedure with the processing to avoid stress and delay, because I only help those with genuine intention for this donation fund. So I reply in a manner to keep the scam going. Sir, I have explained I am currently moving home and my ID is packed away. I have stated I will scan a copy of my ID as soon as I can. With regards to payment of fees, fine, I'll do it. You got to spend money to make money. I get it. It's business. Contact your lawyer and let's get the ball rolling. I mean, Jesus Christ. And the scammer, clearly thinking I'm an idiot and perhaps relishing the idea of stealing €530 from me, replies with the next copy-paste template email detailing bogus information we already know, as well as giving me the email for Theresa Amir, the supposed lawyer who will sort out all the paperwork on my behalf. He closes out this email speaking prophecy about his ailing health and how he probably cannot communicate with me after this, given his doctors are taking away all his electronic devices and placing him under restrictions. In other words, we have progressed to stage 2 of the scam and have been passed on to a second character, the lawyer. Now, I don't know if this is the same scammer using a different email or a second scammer whose job it is to finalise the scam whilst the first just reels in the prey. Either way, the only one doing any fishing here is me, and scammers are biting aplenty. I test the scammer's resolve regarding his character's ailing health and send one final reply, asking if I could probe his business intellect by asking some questions about investments. Sadly though, this is where we say goodbye to Mr. Pacina and move on to the lawyer instead. So, I contact the lawyer and say, hello, I've been instructed to contact you by your client, Stephen Pacina, regarding a donation of £2.5 million. Consider this email my first contact. Please contact me back and we can do the thing. And a day later, I get a reply that clearly hasn't been composed out of cut and paste, saying, Sorry for the late response. We been so busy with other client regarding Stefano Pessina giveaway cash prize. Please sign the document that was issued to you and return back with a copy to us. So I reply with the unsigned document Mr. Scamano Pessina sent in one of his previous emails. Let's just take a moment to look at this very real and highly legitimate affidavit. First, the address is absolutely bogus. There is no Fleet Street that I could find in Besiktas. Not that I expected any different. Secondly, the scales picture, which I gather to represent law and order, is off-centre, ironic and clearly indicative of their crooked and criminal ways. The signature for Mr. Pessina is clearly not even remotely close to his name, and the signature of barrister Teresa Ramia is so clearly Rudolph Getter, I struggle to believe this whole thing isn't a joke, and an American with a camera crew are about to emerge from my cupboard telling me I've been punked. Finally, what is this seal? International Legal Fraternity 1869. Okay, so a quick Google search tells me this is a real legal honour society, so at least they were aiming for some sort of validity. Aiming for some sort of validity. Aiming and still missing. Considerably. So Mrs. Teresa Law Chambers replies with her first copy-paste template email and asks for my banking details. That, coupled with my other details, could be extremely dangerous and quite threatening in the old identity theft department. Good thing they're as real as Teresa's signature. I respond acquiescing to her request, well, in my own way, and try to bring Mr. Pessina back to the table by adding, I am still waiting to hear from Mr. Passata with regards to a few investment questions, so if my replies become delayed, it is because I am still waiting to hear from him. Ignoring anything that could take her off script, the scammer replies with her next copy-paste template email, giving me some waffle about why she won't be providing me with just a simple bank account and listing several alternative ways I can pay the €530 instead. Ways we are all familiar with by now. Scammers are nothing if not predictable. Confused, as Raghaus Gupta is wont to be, I reply with this. Mrs. Law Chamber, my dear, you have my bank account details. Charge the £530 to my account. And then, after failing to get a response for 4 days, Teresa Chamber, what on earth is going on? Where is my money? Back in the game, Teresa replies with a haughty, Attention Raghaus Bob Gupta, your inability to send the needed sum of €530 to get your donation sum of €2.5 million shows you don't need the donation funds, so we will not force or convince you to do the needful and get the donation. Realising I'm going to need to put in the legwork to get scammed here, I reply with a reasonable, so you can't take it from you can't take it from me bank directly. Fine, just say that. That would have been the professional thing to do. Tell me where or how you want this money instead then. And, copy and pasting in a chunk from her previous email, Mrs. Law Chamber reiterates exactly how I can send her the €530. Sheesh. I bet the C and V keys on these scammers' keyboards are practically worn away. Being the tricky dicky I am, I respond asking another pointless question, requiring an actual hand-typed response. Before I make a choice, I just need to know if there's a slower method of payment that is actually free. I see we are paying for speed and convenience. I am just curious to know if there's a way to not pay and receive a slower, less urgent service. And, to my delight, the scammer sends this annoyed and stroppy reply. Dear Mr. Raghaus Bob Gupta, we don't have time to waste here, and if you cannot use Western Union or MoneyGram to remit the €530, then I will advise you to forget about the donation, because we can as well allocate the donation funds to a more serious and interested person. However, nobody is pressuring, forcing, or convincing you to send the €530. One thing is sure, if you send the money, you get your donation via bank-to-bank transfer within 72 banking hours, and if you cannot send the money, then forget about the donation funds. Thanks, and have a nice day. Shocked and appalled at her assertion I do not take talking to scammers literally, I remonstrate back with this. Barrister Chamber, I do not appreciate your assertion that I am not serious about this. I am interested and very serious. I am merely assessing all my options before moving forward. Fine, I can send you £530. I just need you to give me the details for the payment and I'll get it sorted today. Honestly, so unprofessional. Thankfully managing to wrangle her back on my hook, the scammer replies with more specific payment details which I report, as well as the curious instruction at the end to tell the bank that the money is for tuition fees. Wanting to burst her slowly inflating balloon of hope regarding her €530 payday for a donation fund that is entirely fictitious, I crank up the old ridiculous meter and get to work. Well, Mrs. Chamber, I have been in business for many years, and so far your approach has bordered on infantile. As a prominent businessman myself, I intend to make what is known as a trust transfer. I will send 5 payments of €7 each, and pending their successful arrival in your accounts, as well as confirmation by you, I will then send 50% of the remaining amount. At which point you will conduct a meeting with me over the phone where we shall enter a verbal agreement to continue the business, but as trusted de facto partners. What this means is, your company will pay the remaining amount, and once the funds have been transferred into my account, I will pay back what your company paid, as well as what is known in the financial world a compos erectus bonus, which is the sum of the trust trades as a percentage times the remaining amount your company paid in. In other words, a substantial bonus. Please reply immediately with your terms. The scammer's having none of it, however, but doesn't dispel me just yet, and instructs me to pay via Remitly or forget about it. Rude. So, playing for time, I reply with, "You don't know how much I need this money. Fine, I'll make the payment." Viper. And clearly a fan of atomic shrimp, as you all should be by now, the scammer replies with, "Okay." So the next day I send this to both Slap and Caress. Well, that was a waste of an email. Just to let you know, I'm going to attempt payment today. Hopefully I have some tangible evidence to prove to you it has been sent, then you can give me the money that is legally mine. The scammer, who surely at this point must suspect I'm playing with her, sends this. You can only get the €2.5 million that is yours once we receive the Remitly receipt from you as proof of payment for the €530, and also as soon as the bank picked it up for its purpose. Kindly be informed that the next mail you will receive from us will be the transfer receipt of your €2.5 million, and that will only be made possible once we receive your Remitly picked up info for the €530. What that simply means is that we will not be responding to any of your mail until we received a mail from you containing the pickup info for the €530 required from you. Once we receive the €530, we proceed with the transfer of your funds. Note, we have a grace period. We will wait for you, and if we do not get the €530 from you, then we will proceed to allocate the donation funds to a more serious person. Trying my luck, I reply, "Okay, I just have one more question if that's acceptable." But to no avail. At least she is sticking to her guns now. But Raghouse is nothing if not tenacious, so 2 days later sends, "Teresa, I have a question about payment. I cannot make payment until you have answered my question. Can you please confirm you are going to reply so I can ask the question?" Which gets a bite in 3 minutes.
Hooray!
And, relishing in annoying this scammer as much as I clearly have, respond, "I didn't have a question, Mrs. Chambers. I just wanted to see if you'd reply after you said you wouldn't. Please find attached the receipt. Your unprofessionalism aside, I hope to see the funds in 72 hours. And this is the receipt I sent her. Do you think she'll be happy and finally send me the money now? Nope, not in the slightest. In a scathing rebuke, Teresa Law Chambers sends this. "Dear Raghouse Gupta, you have once again proven my thought right by your mail. It's clear to me now that you are one of those mentally sick people who shouldn't be taken seriously. I think it is because you are mentally sick. That is why you don't even know what you are doing at the moment. If truly you are mentally sound, you wouldn't have bothered to manipulate a fake Remitly transfer receipt and send it to me. Get a life and stop fooling yourself, man. I don't have time to waste with you. I'm a very busy woman here." Wow. That goes down, so far at least, as the angriest and nastiest reply I've had from a scammer. But that can only come from a place of true anger and annoyance, and that alone tells me I have completed my mission. I realise the game is up, and I doubt very much I could talk my way out of this, or rather back into this, so I send my own scathing email instead. "Mrs. Chamber, I think there are few things sicker than someone posing to be something they're not, with the intention of manipulating and stealing from a person. I can tell from the content of your email that our interactions have annoyed and exasperated you at the very least, and that fills my heart with great pleasure to know you have felt negativity from it. I have a life, and a good one, and one of the things I enjoy doing in my life is exposing criminals like you who try to steal, using such ridiculous means as the situation you and your fellow scammers put out into the world. I expose you and your ilk to bring awareness and to lessen the effectiveness of your efforts. Every little detail you have provided me, however insignificant, has been reported. I doubt this will stop you, but if it can at least slow you down, then I can rest easy. Don't bother replying, but know if you do, it will only serve to entertain a collection of people who will laugh at your pathetic attempts to save face, before they go and continue to spread the message that email scammers like you are still at work even today, and that vigilance is always necessary. In other words, you thwart your own efforts by doing what you are doing. And, suffice to say, that was the end of that. Well, guys, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. I'm sorry it took so long to get out, but the week I had booked off to release this video, I actually had to look after my daughter who had got chickenpox. Never mind. Now, don't forget to check out CJ Scams and Take a Glass of Water Media for their live scam baiting content, as well as their morning scam show every Tuesday and Thursday. That's live on YouTube. And give them a sub from me, would you? As always, if you want to leave a comment, I'll get back to you. And if you enjoyed this video, why not? Give it a like. And if you want to stay in touch for future videos, you can sub as well. Only if you want to. Anyway, guys, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.